Hi, boys and girls. My name is Miss Summer, and I'm your host. This is your teacher, Miss Misha. Today, we will deepen our understanding and answer questions about the importance of silk.
Hi, I'm Miss Misha, and today's lesson is titled, The Importance of Silk. Today, we will learn about contributions of ancient China and the importance of silk. But before we begin, let's look back at our chart from yesterday and quickly review what we have already learned. Miss Summer, can you share what you already know about ancient China and the importance of silk?
Yes. So yesterday, we heard a Chinese folktale about a boy and a magic paintbrush and how that did not end well for the emperor. We also learned early that block printing, calligraphy, and paper were all developed in early China.
Thank you, Miss Summer. Those are some great things. I'm learning so much about ancient China. Are there some new things you want to learn during today's reading?
Yes. I would like to know what silk is and what are the silk roads. I would also like to know why trade is so important to people from different lands.
Oh, those are some great questions, Miss Summer. I would love to learn the answers to those questions also. But before we get started with our reading, let's begin by first discussing the meaning of some important vocabulary words that we will reference in this lesson. Boys and girls, are you ready to learn some new words? Are you ready, Miss Summer?
Yes, I love learning new words.
Great, let's get started. So our first word is barriers. Say barriers.
Barriers.
Good. Barriers are obstacles that block something or someone's way. Let's use a gesture to help us remember what barriers means. Let's take our hand and extend it forward as if to tell someone to stop. Our anchor chart says, the heavy snowstorm left icy barriers all along the sidewalks and streets. Our next word is emerge. Say emerge.
Emerge.
Good. Emerge means to come out or rise into view. To help us remember this word, let's pretend that we are about to emerge from the water. Whales must emerge from below the water so they can breathe.
Hey, do you think we can breathe underwater if whales can emerge from the water to get air to breathe?
I don't think so. You better stay on land.
Aw, well, it was worth a try. I do have a sentence with emerge on the anchor chart. When it is time, the baby birds will emerge from their nest.
Our next word is plunged. Say plunged.
Plunged.
Good. Plunged means to throw oneself or to push something forcefully into a liquid or other material. Let's put our hands together and pretend that we are going to plunge into a swimming pool. Great job! The hot children jumped off the deck and plunged into the cool water below. Miss Summer, can you read the sentence on our anchor chart that uses the word plunged?
I sure can. The ostrich plunged her head into the sand to make a nest for her eggs.
Great sentence. I didn't know that was why they plunged their heads into the sand.
Me either.
Our next word is trade. Say trade.
Trade.
Good. Trade is the process of buying, selling, or exchanging goods. So to help us remember this word, let's pretend that we are going to trade pencils with each other. Thank you. Sometimes when people encounter new things, they want what others have. So they trade with each other.
Yeah, I have lots of things that I would like to trade with someone.
Miss Summer, that sounds like so much fun.
I know. The sentence on our anchor chart says, people from ancient China traveled the world to trade spices. That is great, but I'm still glad we can just go to the grocery store to get them now.
Yes. Now we're going to listen carefully to learn more about the importance of silk. Boys and girls, read along with us and look at the pictures as we read. Let's get started. paper and printing, gunpowder and matches, plows and kites, fireworks and rockets, compasses used to find your way during travel. These are just some of the many things invented by the Chinese. At the time of these inventions, there were no telephones, no computers, no televisions, or radios. There were no airplanes, no trains, no buses or cars. So, how did people in other parts of the world learn about inventions in faraway China? Well, since the beginning of human history, curious people have looked out across deserts, mountains, and oceans and wondered what lay on the other side of these natural barriers. Question time. What do you think the explorers found when they reached ancient China? What do you think, boys and girls? The boys and girls think they will know. Will you tell us what they think, Miss Summer?
I sure will. The boys and girls said they think the explorers found new types of clothing, tools, and even new ways of farming.
Yes. Thanks for sharing, boys and girls. Let's keep reading to see if what you think the explorers found is right. Explorers risked their lives traveling out from Europe, Asia, and Africa in search of new lands and people. These explorers were not disappointed by what they found. Their discoveries included new types of clothing, tools, and everyday objects. And as so often happens when people encounter new things, they wanted what the others had. Thus, trade began between people from different lands. Over time, people from one area of the world started to take the same paths for trade to the other areas of the world, traveling the same routes from one place to another, over and over again. One of the longest and most important trade routes was a web of roads known as the Silk Roads. These roads joined towns and shipping ports along the Mediterranean Sea and East Africa to towns in the northernmost parts of China. For many hundreds of years, Chinese inventions spread to other continents along the 5,000 miles of the Silk Roads. Do you suppose the Silk Roads were actually made of silk? Take a look at these pictures of silk objects. Silk is a very fine cloth, known for its light, strong texture, and is often used to make clothing, scarves, neckties, and decorative wall hangings. In fact, the Chinese used silk to send arrows flying on curved wooden bows, for musical instruments, and for fishing lines. Silk is so strong that the early Chinese even used it for paper and money. But silk is not a good material for building roads. The name the Silk Roads has nothing to do with the material used to build the roads. Rather, this long network of roads was named for the beautiful silk fabric invented by the Chinese, which for many years was the main item traded on these roads. Everyone who saw and touched this amazingly smooth fabric, dyed in many different colors, wanted to own it. The Romans, living in Europe near the Mediterranean Sea, called China the land of silk. Question time. Is the land in China really made of silk? What do you think the Romans called the roads in China? The Silk Roads. What do you think, boys and girls? Exactly. The boys and girls know. Do you know, Miss Summer?
Of course I do. I heard them say the answer. The story tells us that the roads are not actually made of silk, but are called the Silk Roads because they were important trade routes for silk.
Yes. Thanks for helping her out, boys and girls. She can use all the help she can get. Okay, let's keep reading. People wondered how to make this fabric, which had the ability to keep one warm in the winter and cool in the summer. They were willing to travel long distances over dangerous ground to buy and trade goods in exchange for the extraordinary cloth. For many years, the Chinese kept the production of silk a deep secret. Do you know where silk comes from? These mulberry trees hold the secret in their leaves. Special moths, blind and unable to fly, lay hundreds of tiny eggs, each about the size of a pinhead, on these leaves. When the eggs hatch, caterpillars appear and begin munching on the mulberry leaves day and night. The fattened caterpillars spin a single long thread around themselves, forming a cocoon. If these white puffy balls were allowed to develop, what do you suppose would emerge? Right, a new moth. But long ago, the Chinese discovered how to stop the development of these caterpillars in order to produce the prized fine silk thread. Chinese women began collecting the eggs of the silkworms. Placing them in special trays, they fed chopped up mulberry leaves to the newly hatched caterpillars and waited for them to spin their cocoons. Question time. In the story you heard, the fattened caterpillars spin a single long thread around themselves. What does spin mean in this sentence? What do you think, boys and girls? Miss Summer, what do you think?
Oh, that's easy. Spin means to turn around and around. Wait, what, boys and girls? Oh, I see. They said spin is a multiple meaning word. And in this sentence, spin is to form something by producing a fluid that quickly hardens into thread.
Yes, that's right. Thanks for helping her out, boys and girls. You were really paying attention. Okay, let's keep reading. Once the spun cocoons rested for 9 or 10 days, they were baked. Then the cocoons were plunged into hot water to loosen the thread so that it could be unwound and woven into fine cloth. When something is plunged, it means that it is forced into a liquid or other material. This same process is still used in silk and in China and other silk producing countries today. All right, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed our story today. Now let's see if we can remember some of the details about the importance of silk.
I love question time. I'm sure the boys and girls will know all of the answers too.
Great, let's get started. First question. Today's read aloud was the importance of silk. Boys and girls, can you describe or tell me about some other Chinese contributions you heard about today? Miss Summer, can you tell us? You may have to help her out, boys and girls.
Oh, I may have to have help on this one. What's that, boys and girls? Oh, yes. They said that they heard about silk, paper, printing, gunpowder, matches, plows, kites. What else was that? Oh, yes. Also fireworks, rockets, and compasses.
That's right. Thanks for helping her out again, girls and boys. You heard that some explorers were willing to risk their lives and travel through the natural barriers to reach China. What are some of the natural barriers that surround China? Boys and girls, do you know? Miss Summer, can you tell us?
Let me think. What was that, boys and girls? Oh, yes. See, I'm terrible with direction. But for the boys and girls, it was relatively easy. They said the natural barriers that surround China are the Himalayas to the west, the Yellow and China Seas to the east, and the Gobi Desert to the north. You can see them all here on the map.
That's right. Thanks for helping with that answer, boys and girls. You sure have great map skills. Why was trade so important to people from different lands? Do you remember, boys and girls? What about you, Miss Summer? Do you know?
Yes, I think I do. Trade was so important because every land did not have the same things that were discovered in other places, such as new types of spices, tools, and clothing. And by trading things with others, they could all gain things that they needed or they just wanted.
Yes, that's right. Great job using that vocabulary word trade. Boys and girls, I think you know all these answers. Well, we know trade was important, but how exactly were people from other parts of the world able to travel to and trade with the ancient Chinese? Oh, some of the boys and girls remember that answer fast.
Yes.
Can you tell us what they said, Miss Summer?
Yes, I sure can. The boys and girls said that people from other parts of the world were able to travel to and trade with the ancient Chinese through the Silk Roads.
Yes, that's exactly right. You have really been paying attention, boys and girls. And you too, Miss Summer.
Thanks.
How is silk made? What do you think, boys and girls? Miss Summer, can you tell us what they said?
Yes, so the boys and girls said that the silkworm caterpillar eggs are gathered. And what else? Oh, yes. After the caterpillars hatch, they are fed mulberry leaves. The caterpillars then spin cocoons. And it was one more thing. Oh, yes. These cocoons are baked and are then plunged into hot water, and that loosens the silk thread.
That's exactly right. Boys and girls, if you said that, give me a thumbs up. Oh, great job. The process of silk making is very interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
We even have a silk dress and a silk purse in our display of Chinese artifacts.
Yes. Here's our silk purse.
Well, we know how silk was made, but why do you think silk was such a desirable and popular item to trade? Boys and girls, can you tell us? Miss Summer, will you share with us what they said?
Yes. Several of the boys and girls said that silk was a desirable material that at the time only the ancient Chinese knew how to make. What was that, boys and girls? Oh, yes. The reason is that the production of silk was kept a secret by the ancient Chinese people.
Ah, yes. Great job, boys and girls. We definitely agree with you. Great job answering those questions. Now let's do some word work with the word emerge and plunged. In the read aloud, you heard, if these white puffy balls were allowed to develop, what do you suppose would emerge? You also heard, then the cocoons were plunged into hot water to loosen the thread. Say the word emerge with me.
Emerge.
Great job. Emerge means to come out or rise into view. Say plunged with me.
Plunged.
Super. Plunged means to push something down into a liquid or other material. These two words are antonyms or opposites.
I see. So just like our picture, dolphins emerge from below the water for air. After they performed their flips, the dolphins plunged back into the water.
Yes, that's exactly right. Have you ever witnessed an insect or animal emerge from a hole, a cocoon, or an egg? Try to use the word emerge when you tell me about it. Have you ever seen something plunged into a liquid or other material? Try to use the word plunged when you tell me about that. Miss Summer, what about you?
Well, yes. In fact, I love to paint. So I plunged my paintbrush into the water to rinse it out. When it was emerged, it was all clean.
That's a great example of emerge and plunge. Boys and girls, I know you have lots of examples too. Now let's play a making choices activity. You know that emerge means to come out or rise. The word plunged is an antonym or opposite of the word emerge. Remember, plunge means to push something down into water or other material. I'm going to read several phrases. If what I say is an example of something emerging, say emerge. If what I say is an example of plunged, say plunged. Ready?
Got it.
Let's go. A diver coming out of the water. Is that emerge or plunged?
I think the boys and girls said emerge.
Yes, that is correct. A diver going into the water. What do you think, boys and girls? Is that emerge or plunged?
Yes, they did great. They said plunged.
They're doing an awesome job.
They are.
An ostrich with its head in the sand. Emerge or plunged?
Great job, boys and girls. And yes, that is a funny picture of plunged right there.
Super, boys and girls. An ostrich with its head out of the sand. Emerge or plunge? Boys and girls?
Great job. They said emerge, Miss Misha.
Fabulous. A butterfly comes out of the chrysalis. Did that butterfly emerge or plunge?
Oh, they got that one super fast. They said that was emerge.
Great job, boys and girls. Cocoons are placed in hot water. Wow, you are so fast. That is plunged.
Super job.
Great job on your word work and learning more about the words emerged and plunged. Boys and girls, what are some things you learned today? Are there things you could add to our KWL chart? Oh, those are great. Miss Summer, what are some things that the boys and girls learned today that we can add to our chart?
Well, they said they learned that the Silk Roads were a web of roads that was the longest and most important trade route. What was that? Yes, they said that they also learned that silk comes from the cocoon of silkworms. And at first, the Chinese kept the production of silk a secret.
Yes, we learned so much. Those were all great responses. I am sure the boys and girls learned a lot too. Thank you all for sharing and adding to our chart today. Wow, you have all worked so hard today on our lesson. We have had so much fun learning about silkworms, silk, and the Silk Road. We also learned of many other amazing Chinese inventions. I hope you all enjoyed learning this information as much as we did. Thanks so much for learning with us, boys and girls. I'm so proud of you, and you should be proud too. Keep up the good work.
All rights and credits for today's lesson come from Core Knowledge Language Arts. We would like to thank Core Knowledge for publicly sharing these materials. Boys and girls, thanks again for joining us today. I enjoyed learning more about the early Chinese civilization with you. Stay tuned and keep learning. Goodbye.